everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Spartan Sports Report. Sam and I are happy to welcome CHS Lady Spartans basketball head coach, Michael Thompson. Michael, welcome.
Well, thank you. Glad to be here.
Okay, it's been, a couple months since put the basketballs away. The season, I know, was disappointing to the girls, to you and your coach's staff, but it's a rebuilding year, isn't it, or a learning year?
It was. I mean, we lost a lot from the year before. Not maybe so much in numbers, but the numbers that they gave to us, Taylor Stephen, Courtney Phillips, and Destiny Rue.
Yes.
We lost about 90% of our scoring and 100% of our ball handling, a lot of leadership. So we didn't have a whole lot of varsity experience coming back. And I knew it would be somewhat of a rebuilding year. I did know that we would probably struggle to score a little bit just from the summer, the games that we played prior to the season, but I thought we'd be low 30s. Our scoring, and we couldn't hardly break 30 all season long. But, it was disappointing, but it was not disappointing the fact that the girls worked hard all year long. They played just as hard the last minute of the game than they did the first minute of the game, no matter what the score was. And we improved a lot, and I made a point to the coaches early in the year to make sure that I am not onto the girls or not yelling at the girls. For maybe where they are talent-wise right now, but lack of effort, then I would be all over them, and I never had to do that. So I was very pleased with the girls' effort, and they kept a good attitude all year long.
A break here or there, a different call by an official could have made a change in some of the games.
We competed. I mean, as the year went along, there was a few games that we lost, especially in January. I think that's the first time I really saw the girls get down. Franklin County followed by Richmond. In those two games, we were right there in it. They were really pumped up for the Franklin County game. Felt like it was a game that we could possibly win. It was our coaches versus cancer game with Franklin County on the road. The first time that we've done that with them. So they came out of there, and it was a really good crowd on the road at Franklin County. So they walked out of there disappointed. That's the first time I really kind of see their head hanging a little bit. And it was just because they wanted to win so badly. And then we turned right around and played Richmond a few days later, and it was another game that we were right there until the end in the fourth quarter, and was not able to pull that one out. But I saw that was the first time that they really kind of got down.
Sam, you often commented during the season that they were working hard, and a break here or there could have made a big difference.
And a lot of younger girls, you got to play a lot of freshmen, and as the season went on, we could see their development and know that the future is there with some of those girls. And I know that you and I talked on the air many times about some of the other teams a few years ago were in that same situation, and now is our opportunity for those girls, those young ones, to learn from that and know that things are only going to improve.
And I probably won't remember all of them off the top of my head, but Newcastle was in this situation just 5 years ago when Corey first came in. They won like 3 games, 5 games, and it went to 10 to 12, and I think this year it was 18, 19 games. They're ranked in the top 10. They were right there with Greenfield and had a chance to beat them in the sectional. New Pal was in a very similar situation, and they were very good this year. They started out, these seniors started playing as freshmen, and they won 4 or 5 games. Jennings County, another team that we played this year that was a pretty solid team, and they did 1-0. I think her very first year there.
Yes.
And then I think they won 2. So and now they're winning 14, 15 games. So it is that possibility, but we're going to have to get better, and it starts right now. I think we're already in about our 4th week of open gym right now, and I probably have more numbers in attendance this spring than I've ever had. Normally we have 3 to 5 girls that are not in a spring sport, and right now we have about 10 or 11. So the attendance has been pretty good, participation has been pretty good. So it's going to start right now.
What do you want them to do during the summer?
During the summer, we will have open gym normally 3 days a week, a couple hours, normally about 9 to 11. We come in after Coach Brown. He goes 7 to 9 or 6 to 8. We don't get up that early, but we come in, and then the last few years, I think I'll do it again, is go to Richmond and play on Tuesday nights. And last year I was able to take a JV and a varsity team up there and play. So we'll get at least 8 games in at Richmond. I haven't totally decided yet, but I think right now we're definitely going to go to Pendleton one day and play. We'll normally should get 3 or 4 games in there. And I think we're going to go back to Miami University and play 2 or 3 games, and then I think I'm going to try going to Thomas More. So we should get in approximately 15 games in the summer, and then 4 weeks. I think June actually has 5 weeks this year, so 12 to 15 open gyms as well.
Before we leave the season that we just completed, the girls did well in the conference, the freshman girls.
They did. Our freshman team won the freshman tournament this year, and we had a group of girls that played. There was a handful of girls that played some JV and the freshman schedule, and then we had a little smaller group of core that played only the freshman schedule. So it was the same group of girls that played together all year, and they really did well. I think they won 8 or 9 games total. In the last game, I was able to go down and watch a championship game. It was a very good game with Franklin County. I was back and forth the whole entire game, and they were able to pull it out in the last minute of the game.
Sam, that's good news. That we won a
great
conference.
news. I love hearing that.
Sure.
The younger girls coming up. I want to talk a little bit about our schedule. We play. You look at our win-loss record, but with the young girls that you were playing and the talent that you'd lost from the year before, our strength of schedule is pretty darn good.
It is, and I don't remember the numbers now. It's been a little while from our season, but I think our strength of schedule was ranked. It was somewhere in the 40s, about 45 in the state, and that's out of 404, 408 schools.
Yes.
You look at our opponent's win-loss record, and it was a little better than that. It was, I think, in the high 30s. And I think going into the tournament, I think our opponent's number of wins only, we were like top 25 in the state. And so, when you're trying to rebuild and you're a little bit younger and inexperienced, and you throw the schedule and our opponents in on that, it was going to be a little bit of a rough year for us.
Very tough sectional crowd. Also, I mean that we've talked about it. We talked about it with Carrie last week. That our sectional is like what a semi-state used to be with the talent that is there.
Absolutely, and you look in the girls sectional, probably the past 5 years. Look at the number of Division I players that have come out of there. Just right now, you got Sydney Shelton at Mount Vernon going to Butler. You've got Madison Wise at Greenfield that hasn't decided yet, but she's on the core junior all-star team. I'm not going to say can choose where she's going to go, but she's going to have a lot of choices. The Hegelson girl from Greenfield Central also made the junior all-star team, and she's been offered to play at Ball State. And you've got the Moore girl that came out of Mount Vernon a couple years ago. We've had a few girls from Pendleton go play Division I. So,
as well as our own.
Yeah, and we have, in the last few years. So it's been loaded. It really has been.
What's the program out of high school, at middle school and the elementary? What have you got down there?
Well, the Parks Department took over our elementary league for the first time this year, and I heard some positive things out of there. So we've got girls from kindergarten through 6th grade that are involved, and the numbers were a little bit up this year, so that was encouraging. And then we have 4 teams in our middle school playing, and the numbers there aren't so great right now. We've had to kind of, 7th grade was better this year as far as numbers, but the 8th grade's a little bit thinner. And like I said, we got 4 teams that are playing down there, and then we were able to get 3 teams at the high school. So we've had a lot of girls playing. I know one group of girls, 3rd and 4th grade, went to Richmond and played this winter. So they on top of the Parks Department, and then they were going to Richmond and playing on Sundays, and that's been a good deal for a lot of girls that's been coming up the last few.
Sam, what was the best team you saw this year? Can you remember? Well, probably Mount Vernon, and
were they?
Yeah, year in and year out. It seems like, and you know, Greenfield Central, pretty tough too. I mean, it's just up there in Hancock County. Seems like they've had some pretty good teams over the last several years.
Were these older teams, senior-laden teams?
Yeah, for the most part. Yeah, but pretty balanced, and you know, they're just seems like they're always well coached and always have some great players. But you know, you look at Mount Vernon. I remember playing them. I mean, we were playing right there with them, and just it's hard to against a team like that. It's hard to sustain 32 minutes.
And go back a couple years ago when they did have Moore and Shelton. We had them here at our place in the sectional, and we should have never been in the ball game with them on paper, but we led the entire ball game until late in the third quarter, and I remember Courtney got in foul trouble. We had to take her out at that point in time, and they made her run. But year in and year out, the past 5-6 years, Mount Vernon's been one of the better teams that we play each and every year. Right now, Greenfield's just loaded, and they still have, I mean, their middle school's loaded. He's going to have a lot of players coming, and they return basically everybody. So, you know, I think it's their sectional.
Doug does a great job with them, too. I mean,
Doug does a very good job with them, and, you know, it helps when you have those kind of players coming in right now. And, you know, they were in the final game of the regional and barely, I think, 2 or 3 points. So I think the way they were playing, if they could have got out of that, I think the way Columbus was playing at the semi-state, I think Greenfield could have been right there with them and had a chance to win that one. So, you know, they want to try to take it a step further next year.
And you look at our conference, pretty good group of basketball schools, I think, girls basketball schools, and traditionally, with us being one of them, and Rushville and East Central has really come on of late, and Greensburg's been playing well. So
they have been, and it has been a good move for us. And like you said, you got Rushville year in and year out, and they're going to be right there. East Central the last 5-6 years just has exploded. I mean, they went from winning 3 to 5 games a year to now they're losing 3 to 5 games a year, maybe if that. And again, their middle school program right now has a lot of players. They have a lot of size. He's going to lose his big girl that's going to go play Division I, but he's got her little sister who's actually bigger, taller. He's got 2 girls that were freshmen this year, are 6'1", 6'2", and a couple more that are coming right behind him. So East Central and right now Greensburg. You know, there's another school that I can mention that was at the bottom and have really built, and they went quickly. You know, they had got the group of freshmen in that are now sophomores, and then a few juniors with them right there. And, you know, I think that was the first sectional maybe they've won in school history, or at least in a very long time. And they had a very solid year.
And Franklin County has
they're on their way up right now. They really are. And I think Doug has done a good job since he's been hired down there. And they have a lot of girls playing. You know, and right now it's probably my biggest disappointment in our program is trying to get the younger girls involved and trying to play. You know, I said earlier we had one team that's going to Richmond to play, and that's piecing together 3rd and 4th graders. He has 1 or 2 teams at every grade level right now playing, and playing in tournaments every weekend. You know, so on any given weekend, he's got 60 to 70 younger girls that are playing. And so that's really going to, you know, you'll see the improvement there in years to come.
Because at that age, you don't know how they're going to develop, how they're going to turn out, who's going to grow, who isn't, and
who's going to quit on you, and who's going to move away, and all those things. So you want as many girls being developed as you possibly can.
I know you always talk about you know, start out in middle school with 4 teams and so many girls, and at the end we end up with 2 or 3 seniors on senior night, and the dedication, perseverance that it takes for those kids to stick with it.
Absolutely, and that's where we traditionally are, is 2 or 3 seniors per year. In most sports it's that way. I think the boys are pretty much that way too, but you got to look at, you have approximately 20 girls plus starting out in 7th grade. And, you know, by the time you get to the end, you may have 2 or 3 left, and you don't know who those 2 or 3 are going to be. You know, in our situation, it might be 2 girls that were originally on the white team, you know, which is technically basically your second team, and you know, they may be the ones that you're counting on, and we've had plenty of those. By the time they're a senior, they're a solid player and contributing for us, and that's why it's important that you develop all the players that you have, no matter what the grade level is.
You had 3 seniors on your team this year. I know you wish these girls the best as they probably enter college.
Yes.
And who were the 3?
Amanda Cobb and Ashley Coker and Kelsey Barrett. And I thought they all contributed and did a good job this year. They were probably some of our most consistent players. Amanda really came out of her little shell and came out on her own a little bit this year. Led us in second in scoring, led us in rebounding. I thought her effort was great all year. I thought her leadership was very good. Ashley is not the type that's going to light up the stat sheet for you, but she was extremely important for us defensively. I mean, I think without her, that, you know, the margin of the win and loss, the number of points would have been greater. She did an outstanding job in the middle of our 2-3 zone and directing everybody and talking to everyone. plays bigger than her size. Game that stands out more than any for me is against East Central. And Allie McCool is 6'2", and very big, very strong, Division I basketball player. And Ashley held her to 3 field goals. I mean, she ended up with 12 points, but 6 free throws and 3 field goals. And she just did an outstanding job with her. And then Kelsey Barrett came in off the bench for us, and normally came in and gave us a spark, and I thought she did a great job of just not getting a lot of playing time, but kept her head up, continued to be a good teammate, and when she came in, she looked to make something happen for us.
And she was a girl that was a student, an athlete, and someone I'd see in the grocery store and would wait on me in the grocery store. So that kind of commitment to be able to keep her grades up, be able to play sports, and have a part-time job too. I mean, I think that says something about character.
And I believe Kelsey, I think she's in track, and she's a 3-sport athlete. She played volleyball in the fall, and I'm almost positive she's still in track. Ashley, I think she's down to 2 now. She's in softball right now, and Amanda was in track if she's still there as well. So we're talking all of them being 2 or 3-sport athletes, and all 3 of them do very well in the classroom.
And over the years, your kids have done well.
They really have, and I think our team GPA this year, I may have announced it wrong at our banquet at the high school, but I know we were around 3.6,
wow,
3.7 as a team,
somewhere in that neighborhood.
Yeah,
honor roll GPA.
And I think we had, I don't know, 4 or 5 girls over 4.0, 3.9 to 4.0 right in there. So they do a very good job.
Is there any talk of lowering the basket for girls basketball?
I've only seen it. I think one of the WNBA players talked about it or whatever it may be, but other than that, I haven't heard it. I'm not in favor of it, except in the elementary leagues.
Okay.
I would like to see a gradual step up from 8 foot to 9 foot
to 10.
To maybe 9.5 to 10.
Yeah, okay.
I would maybe like to see that. And maybe not in favor of the 3-point line in the middle school for girls. I'm just glad that college level finally a couple years ago moved the line back for the 3-point line, because we have elementary girls shooting a 3 at the same distance that college men were shooting the distance.
20 feet, okay. Yeah.
Whether, and it's hard when you do that, when you talk about any basketball. Sure. Baseball, you try to do things in your own area. If you go play in a tournament somewhere, and if it's not the same, then you're kind of at an unfair advantage at that point in time. But
I know you work with the athletic director Brent Duncan on scheduling. What's the new schedule look like?
The only change at this point in time was we did drop Jennings County, which I really didn't want to do, but they were the only contract that we had that was up this year, and we picked up Guerin Catholic instead. And I thought that was going to be a good fit for us right now, distance-wise, about the same, maybe. So, somebody different again. I hated it because we just added Jennings County. I played them for 2 years. But it was the only contract I had available to get out of.
Always liked going to Jennings County because it had ice cream in the concession stand.
There you go. Maybe we'll get back on there. I don't know.
Will it be 50-50 home and away, or do you know at this point?
I think it still is. I think last year we were up to 22 games now. So I think we're almost 10-10 home and away, and plus we're on the road for our tournament. That counts as a couple of games there. So,
so you're going back to the Rumble?
We are going back to the Rumble. They did ask us to come back, and somebody's going to have to get out. So I don't know who that was going to be, because we had an odd number, and they wanted to get back to an even number. I love going to the tournament, but I'm afraid how it's going to turn out in the future. They built another new auxiliary gym, and so they want to host a boys tournament at the same time as us every other year, and they said it may not guarantee 3 games. So may have to evaluate it at that point in time, especially for us. We're one of the farther ones away.
Right.
We want to be able to know, are we spending the night? Can we make our hotel arrangements beforehand, and et cetera? So we'll see how that plays out in the near future.
Maybe you could host a tourney.
It's hard. I would love to, but with the Wrestling Classic here, it's kind of harder to do. then it runs right into New Year's.
Yes, I
And
know
so
that.
you got
week.
Christmas right before it, and then you got, so it is a little bit hard to do that, and that's the point we found ourselves with Rushville this past year, trying to find a good common date to play, because since they moved the season up, the tournament got moved up, we had to move our games at the end somewhere at the beginning, and that's where we ended up. Now I feel like we're too game heavy at the beginning of our schedule. You know, we moved Cardinal Ritter and New Pal right at the very beginning.
Yes.
And so we started out with those 2 games, and then Mount Vernon, and then Centerville and Anderson back to back. And then we still have Batesville and was Jennings County. So we had 7-8 games in the month of November.
Yes.
So we were really
That's a
heavy
lot.
at the top.
Yes.
And so
yes.
last year I think this year we're going to end up playing Rushville on New Year's Eve.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe it's going to be New Year's Eve in the afternoon. So we'll see how the calendar rotates around. It'll kind of get off of
They're usually
there.
in some kind of tournament with
Yeah,
Shelbyville, and
Well, they got out of that tournament, and they got into a different tournament. I think they were going to get out of that one, so they had more openings over the Christmas break. And I like playing over Christmas break, but there's also, we've got Greenfield Central right before Christmas.
right. Yeah.
Then we've got
days before.
3 games at the Rumble, and then now you have Rushville over that break as well. So we're going to have 5,
so there
6
is
games.
no break.
No, and it's hard because you need to get the girls a break.
Sure, absolutely.
Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, I'm not touching. I don't care.
Sure.
We play the Rumble the next day. It doesn't matter. I'm not going to touch those days. And so you want to give them a day off when we get back, you know, because it's a long couple of days while you're at the tournament. But, you know, we'll deal with it. And maybe New Year's Eve may be fun. You know, I mean, maybe
Sure.
something totally different. And
Sure.
I don't remember it personally, but I know you guys remember
New
the.
Year's Day tournament
Yeah,
was always a
there you
lot
go.
of fun. And,
There you go.
yeah, it came down. It used to, I think it used to years and years ago rotate among the 4 schools, but then it came just between Connersville and Shelbyville. But as a student in junior high, it was a lot of fun, and you know, I think they would take buses and we'd go over to Shelbyville, and Fran was probably calling the games.
Yes, I was, and we had, of course, New Year's Day football on the college, which were the bowl games, which caused a little bit of a problem as far as listenership and everything, because there was a lot going on New Year's Day. Coach, you have a record of 141 and 116 in 12 years. You've been coaching 12 years?
I think I just finished my 11th, so I will be
number
starting
12
my 12
coming up.
Yeah.
Were you an assistant coach before you took
I was
the head
for
coaching
9
job?
years, so I got 20 years in the girls program, and I think girls basketball is in year 42, 41 or 42, somewhere right in there. So,
Okay.
so I've been a part of it for half of that, and you include the 4 years I got to watch while I was in high school. You know, I've been watching, you know, and seeing, being involved with it for over half of it.
I think girls basketball started in the 70s, mid-70s.
1976 was the first
Okay.
state tournament.
Okay.
And before that, they were a part of was
GAA.
the GAA.
When I was in high school, and it was just intramural
Yeah.
type thing. But it has come a long way, and you've seen a lot of great players. We've had a lot of great players, Indiana All-Stars, Miss Basketball,
Yes.
and several Division I players.
We have, and the game has changed a lot. I mean, when I first started out and was JV coach, and Larry Miller just was named the head coach, and you know, we had April and we had Shannon and Andrea King and Beth Windhorst, Summer Hay, and all those girls, and we were loaded with 5, 6, 7 good players, and most of the teams we played then would have 1 or 2. Now it is, like I said, with Greenfield Central, they're loaded. I mean, a lot of teams now are loaded. Greensburg, they got 5 players on the floor that can score, that can do anything, and you're starting to see that more today, and I think the game has exploded. I think the WNBA's helped that. The college games that you see on TV, I read an article recently, the number of women's college games that were televised this year was a record. I mean, I don't know the number, but they can keep increasing. AAU, a lot of girls are involved with AAU now, and you've got a lot of places like Franklin High School and Richmond now that can host a lot of tournaments and get a lot of girls playing at a younger age.
Do you meet with the parents during the season?
We have a parent meeting at the beginning of the year, and that is an all winter sports will meet, and then
Okay.
we have break break off from there. And then we will meet as a group and go over our rules, expectations, and
What happens at those meetings? What do you tell the parents, and do they ask you questions?
Rarely. I think the more questions is about our booster club. We're very fortunate that we've always been able to keep our concession stand. We use that as a fundraiser.
Okay.
So our parents work the concession stand. So I think it's more of taking care of things like that, getting parents to sign up, who's going to bring snacks on the bus for after a game, and we rotate everybody doing that, and so that's pretty much what we take care of.
How about your calendar sales?
Calendar sales have been pretty good the last couple of years, and it's been a lot of fun going through and creating that and reading all the information, and that made me think of what you said a second ago, the number of Indiana All-Stars that we've played and missed basketballs. I was able to go through and try to, most of them through what I've been through, but I also talked to Lori and asked her if she remembered any that she played against. But I think all in all, it's been a pretty good idea and a good fundraiser for both the boys and us.
So will there be I'm sorry, third edition?
I think one more, we'll probably be stretching it about as far as I can go. And I purposely planned that out last year. If you notice, the boys, I went whatever, the 20s, 40s, 60s, and 80s. So the next year, the boys, I can alternate it and go the other way. The girls don't have as many years of information to go through, so I may have to be a little creative in that side of it, but probably one more.
Great. Great Christmas presents.
It's a great it's a great calendar. It really is. Full of information and everything.
And I was lucky this year too. I had a sports marketing class that was able to help me out. I mean, I had to double check everything that they did to make sure that we're accurate, but I got them started on it, and then I was able to just kind of double check them.
Coach, before we close the show here, we want to give what's going on at CHS this week. Today, Monday, the boys golf is at Richmond. The softball is home to Batesville, and it is the baseball team. The baseball team's at Batesville, and the softball is home to Batesville. So Batesville's in Connorsville, and we're in Batesville today. So on Tuesday it'll be softball at Shelbyville. The girls' tennis will be at Centerville. Track and field will be at Newcastle. Nothing doing on Wednesday. On Thursday, the boys' golf will be home to Richmond. The girls' team will be at Cambridge City. The track and field team is home to Greensburg. That has a 5:30 start. Friday, the baseball team will be at Anderson. And on Saturday, softball at Lawrenceburg and girls' tennis at Richmond. Your final word here is, what's your advice to these young girls that want to be a Lady Spartan someday?
I think they need to have a ball in their hand. I think they need to try to come to camp, come to any clinics that we have, try to get a team together to go play at Richmond or wherever it may be. But I just think they got to be out in the driveway, and they got to be handling the ball, and it just can't be during the park season for 2 months only and then not ever pick up a basketball again. And I think you want to come to the games. I think you want to come there and you want to watch Taylor Steven and Laura Richards and Mandy McDivitt and all the ones like that. That gives you the drive that's something you want to do.
Sam, you have a final word?
201 days.
201 days.
Tonight we're taping this here on Monday night.
It'll be here before we know it.
Before you know it. So the girls.
I don't want to wish summer away though.
The girls I don't either, but the girls have 201 days to get ready.
So what is opening day then?
I don't have it in my head what the date
November
is.
something.
November, early November.
What was the reason they moved the season up, Coach?
I think they wanted to get our state tournament off the boys a little bit, so now that our state finals are, I think we're done, and then sectional starts right up. And I think a lot of it has to do with the number of officials that we have out there as well.
Oh, okay. So there were some contributing factors.
I think so, and I think you don't want to split your schools up as far as, you have a girls that's in state finals and your team may be in a sectional final, and then you got to move their sectional final to a Monday, and I don't think anybody really truly wants to do that.
Thanks for joining us, Michael Thompson, head coach for the Lady Spartans at Connorsville High School. Thanks for watching on TV3, the Spartan Sports Report.